Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button, hit the like, all of that good stuff. So, Bob Arum has been talking about the return of Terence Crawford. According to Bob Arum, Terence Crawford is tentatively scheduled to return in the autumn. He's looking at sort of September, October time of year. And Bob Arum has kind of released a shortlist of opponents for Terence Crawford, guys who he would like to see Terence Crawford fight next, and 4 names are on this list. We shall quickly go through the names, and I will also share my opinions on each name on this list. So the names are as followed: Manny Pacquiao, Kell Brook, Ugas and Shawn Porter. Now I've got to say, I don't really have a problem with any name on this list. Obviously I have my priorities, but Terence Crawford is a guy who, while he's been at welterweight, he's kind of struggled to get the big fights. And in my opinion, all of these names would represent a step up from Terence Crawford's previous competition at welterweight. So I've got to say, I don't really have a problem with anybody on this list. But anyway, let's go through these names, and I'll share my opinions on each name, and kind of tell you who my priorities are on this list. First name on the list, and the one that jumps out at me, is Manny Pacquiao. In my opinion, in an ideal world, this would be the fight I would like to see most on this list. Obviously because mainly it's a unification fight. Manny Pacquiao is the WBA welterweight champion, and obviously Terence Crawford is the WBO welterweight champion. So it's a unification fight. It's a high profile fight, and no doubt the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career, and certainly the most proven opponents of Terence Crawford's career. Even if Manny Pacquiao is 41 years old, this would still be a step up for Terence Crawford, in my opinion. It would represent the best fighter on Terence Crawford's resume, despite Manny Pacquiao being past his best, and despite him being 41 years old. I still believe this would be an interesting matchup. I think the style clash would be very interesting, and ultimately it's a fight I've always wanted to see. Ever since Terence Crawford's been at welterweight, this is a fight I've always kind of had on the radar. It's a fight I've always wanted to see. So the priority on this list, in my opinion, is the Manny Pacquiao fight. However, not to say the other fights aren't good. Shawn Porter, another name who I would love to see Terence Crawford fight. Shawn Porter certainly would be the best welterweight Terence Crawford has ever fought. And in my opinion, Shawn Porter would be the best fighter Terence Crawford has ever fought. So like Manny Pacquiao, Shawn Porter would add a lot to Terence Crawford's resume should he beat Shawn Porter. And again, stylistically, I think this one is very interesting. Obviously Crawford, he's a switch hitter, good boxer, he can mix it up, but how can he deal with the sheer physicality of Shawn Porter? Is he going to struggle against that style? Shawn Porter gives everybody problems. Even the fights he's lost to Keith Thurman, Errol Spence and Kell Brook, he gave all of these guys hell. Nobody's clearly beaten Shawn Porter, in my opinion. Nobody's had an easy night with Shawn Porter, and I don't think Terence Crawford would. Can Terence Crawford do what his welterweight companions did and actually beat him? The likes of Keith Thurman, Errol Spence and Kell Brook? Or would Shawn Porter have too much for Terence Crawford? I for one want to know. Shawn Porter would tell us exactly what we need to know about Terence Crawford at welterweight. It would be a hell of a test and a great opponent for Terence Crawford. Another fight I've wanted to see for a long time. The third name, Ugas. Another fight I really like. I think Ugas arguably is the most underrated welterweight right now in the top 10. Cuban fighter, obviously he can box, got that amateur background, but Ugas also is a very physically strong fighter. He's quite big for the weight. He hits quite hard as well. He's got lovely bodywork as well, Ugas. He's just a really technically sound fighter. Does all of the basics extremely well. Great jab, technically sound. I think Ugas would be a great opponent for Terence Crawford. And again, in my opinion, Ugas would be Terence Crawford's best opponent at welterweight. In fact, I've got to say, I actually felt Ugas beat Shawn Porter. Now, in my opinion, that fight wasn't a robbery. Could have gone either way, point either way, maybe a draw, that sort of fight. But I felt Ugas beat Shawn Porter, and I've been very impressed with the improvements Ugas has made in recent years. I really have. So I would say Ugas would be a very good opponent for Terence Crawford. And lastly, Kell Brook. Now I do have to say, out of all of these people on the list, Kell Brook would be my least desired matchup of the four. However, considering Terence Crawford's previous opponents, I think even this version of Kell Brook would represent a step up from the likes of the version of Amir Khan he fought, from the likes of Jose Benavidez, maybe even Kavalauskas and Jeff Horn. You know, ultimately Brook on this list is the name I'm least excited about, but for argument's sake, if this fight got announced tomorrow, would I hate the fight? Nah, not really. I would look forward to it, to be honest. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents on these names. Now, will any of these names happen? That's the bigger question. We'll have to wait and see. I won't hold my breath. You know, since Terence Crawford has been at welterweight, for whatever reason, whether it's the PBC's fault, his fault, etc., for whatever reason, he's not fought high-level competition. So, I'm not holding my breath that we get one of these names. Potentially, it could be someone else of a lower standard, but hopefully, we get somebody on this shortlist, and hopefully it's one of the first 3 guys I mentioned. But yeah, just my 2 cents on this shortlist. Share your thoughts below. Peace.